So we have just dropped into the social. We just literally met, and I was buzzing when Kai said that we got this legend coming onto the show. Now, if you can't see, we have Joseph DiMaggio, one of the world's greatest session stylists, in the chair. So, Joseph, welcome to the How to Cut It podcast.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. It's definitely an honor to be here.
So, we don't get huge amounts of US guests come onto our show yet. And I think we've had Gerard Scapace on from Hairbrained, and now getting yourself. What are you doing? Why are you here? What's going on?
I was just in town for an event, and also to meet some friends, meet Kai, who's been an amazing social media friend, and wanted to meet up with him. So I said, hey, I'm in town, you want to hang out on Tuesday? And he's like, I'm doing this podcast. Would you want to do it? And I said, absolutely. I mean, I've been a big fan, listened to a bunch of them. And so it's truly an honor. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. I mean, this is what's so good about our industry now, isn't it?
Totally, yeah.
That you can just jump on social media and meet up and hang out. So let's learn. I mean, today, really, Joseph, I want to obviously learn about you. I want our listeners and viewers, because we're here on the Hair Show too, which is proper exciting for us all. So
no pressure.
About you as a session stylist. So first up, just give us an overview to who you are so they can understand who we're talking to here. I'm just a hairstylist like anyone else. I love making people feel good and helping people grow in whatever way I can. That's kind of where I started. I went to school for engineering before I did hair. Did you really?
Yeah. So I went to school for about 2.5 years in New York for that, computer and electrical engineering, minored in chemical engineering. So it was quite, a lot of education.
Quite an extreme different.
Yeah.
That'd be fair to say. And people will probably ask you that question all the time. Why, what hairdressing, what grabbed you and what took you off in that direction?
Yeah, so there's this little story I kind of tell, and I'll keep it as short as
please.
possible.
We've got all the time in the world, my man, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I was going to school for engineering, and I was doing really well, straight A's, really book smart in that way. I was good at it, but I didn't see like a passionate future about it, if that makes sense. And I love music my whole life. I was really into music and been playing drums most of my life. So one day I was in class and I saw my professor walk in, and he was a mess. Just his hair was all over and just his coffee, and he just looked tired, and I'm like,
beaten up in life.
Yeah, was that my future? Kind of. And I didn't really know at the time how much technology would blow up, and I would probably find something cool to do with it. And as well as I was doing in school, I just wasn't, excited. I was like, there's a whole world out there, And so I left school, and my parents were very happy about that.
Yeah, that didn't go down too well.
Not at all. So, but that's something that, you have to go through when you believe in something else is right for you.
So you said that, something wasn't right, and hairdressing obviously was. And
well, no, not yet. I hadn't known about hairdressing yet.
You hadn't even known about it?
No. So I left school, and shortly after I went on tour with my band. I was in a hardcore band for many years.
Right, okay.
Just in the music scene, and then, also tour managed and drum teched for other bigger bands. And in 2004, I was on Warped Tour with some friends, which is a big Vans Warped Tour. It's a big music festival, travels all around North America. And in that kind of time frame, I started cutting my own hair, as you do, when you're in that kind of scene, doing tons of block color. And I didn't know it was called block color at the time, just bleaching out and dyeing it with Manic Panic or whatever. Yeah. And I would do that to all the other guys in my band and all the other bands we were on tour with. And we were in Vancouver making our way up the coast, West Coast, and our van got broken into, and they stole almost everything. Not our equipment and stuff, but all of my personal stuff, money. I don't know why it was in the van, it just was. And the only thing I had with me is my scissors. So I would set up every day after that out of kind of necessity, just to make a few bucks to eat at the merch tables, like in between everything. And I'd have crowds of people watching me and lining up, and I was like, what the hell? These kids paid $60, $65 for a ticket to see their favorite bands, and they're waiting an hour for me to cut their hair. I have no idea what I'm doing. Totally mental. I'm cutting with the wrong finger. I have no training at all. with like tweezer man scissors from CVS. No cape, no water bottle. I'm like, run to the slip and slide guy.
You're just literally blagging it.
Yeah, totally just bonsai tree shaping their hair.
Man, that is bonkers.
It was fun. And it was fun. I loved it. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. This is so fun. You know, these people are loving it. They're paying me way more money than I even asked for. So I was like, holy cow, this is great, you know? And we were in South Dakota, which, for those of you who don't know, is in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what the equivalent here in the UK would be.
Yeah, we've got a few of those.
Okay.
I won't say them in case I offend
no worries.
anybody.
Yeah, no offense to anyone. No, it's just in the middle of nowhere. So I cut this. She must have been 14, 15-year-old girl. And again, we're in the middle of a field, just tons of bands and merch tables set up and stages. You know, run to the slip and slide guy, get your hair wet, come back, I'll cut it. And I was like, go to the, you know, wherever to take a look. She comes back and she's bawling her eyes out, crying. And I'm like, oh no, you know, like I just botched this girl's
is your
hair.
fear, isn't it?
And I'm like, I haven't had this experience yet. And she comes over and she gives me the biggest hug ever. And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, thank you so much. I love it. And I feel like myself for the first time. And I was like, wow, like you're
connected.
crying. Yeah. I was like, what, that moment, I'll never forget that. Obviously, it's changed my whole course of my life. And I was like, wow, you know, what just happened? I was just having fun, just playing around.
This is a power of our industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is that human connection that you can get from some experience like that.
And it was just this cool side hobby that I did, you know, for fun and to just make a little extra cash to eat, you know. And then I was like, wow, imagine if I actually go to school and learn this. Because I loved learning, I loved education. I wanted to do something I was passionate about. And I knew that, you know, engineering at the time wasn't, you know, where my heart was at. So I was living in California then. I moved out to California, couch crashed on some friends for a little bit. You know, just, I was doing graphic design as well. That was kind of how I was making money, doing T-shirts and merch, web design for bands. Excuse me. And then I was like, okay, I don't have any support system over here, you know, to kind of get to the next level. School was really expensive and the hours it was about, I think in California for school, you had to go, I think it was 21 or 2,600 hours, something like that, which is equivalent to almost roughly 2 years. So I'm like, wow, you know, take care of myself full time. And so I moved back home and I told my family that I wanted to go to hair school. And they were like, whatever you want to do, we don't care. Just as long as you go back to school.
They're probably starting to think, I don't know where Joseph's going to be going here in his life. Band engineering, where's he want to go?
Yeah, and I hadn't talked to my father for about 2 years, to be honest, you know, because of that. And but I've been straight edge my whole life. I never drank a drop of alcohol or tried any drugs. Not into that
not
at all.
Rock
So I was
like,
yeah, it was just about the rock and roll, not
yeah,
the sex and drugs. And so, you know, I told my dad, I'm like, listen, I'm not a junkie. I'm not doing anything bad or, you know, throwing my life down the tube. I just going after what my heart wants, you know? So, yeah, we finally started talking again. And so I went to school and I was working as well as a locksmith. Again, just random things. Yeah, it's just
I'm loving it. I'm loving the randomness.
But I love, you know, that engineering part with like, you know, taking stuff apart and fixing it, putting it back. I was really good with my hands. And finger dexterity and playing video games as well growing up. So I just, you know. So then I applied for the Aveda Institute in New York City and, you know, took the little test to get in and they loved it. And
so you weren't going to go the salon route then?
Well, no, in the US you have to go to school.
So that's how it works. So for our listeners,
may
not be aware of how that works.
Yeah.
So when you say you have to go to school, that's effectively, for us in the UK, going to college and you're going full-time at school.
Yeah, they have part-time when you go at night, but it takes a little longer. And each state in the United States has different requirements to get the cosmetology license.
Does that mean then, Joseph, sorry if I'm sounding ignorant about this, and I don't mean to, but does that mean you don't have to do the apprenticeship and by, you know, being a trainee in a salon for 2 years, you literally go to school, learn the craft of hairdressing, barbering, and then you can leave, go into a salon? Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that you've been set up for success. That's like a whole other part of the conversation.
Why is that then?
Yeah, it's kind of this thing where, I don't know. So like I was saying, each state has different requirements. So New York State, sorry, for example, is 1,000 hours, which if you go full time is roughly about 9 to 10 months.
And what's the training like? What you get within these schools?
Yeah. So if you go to, there's different schools. Obviously, there's like the more cost-effective school, or like I said, I went to Aveda, which is more of a prestigious school.
Costs a lot of money?
I mean, compared to university, no, but it's still a bit. Like I said, I still worked part-time as a locksmith to kind of get by. And,
yeah, of course.
They also have financial aid, so you can get money from the
government. And when you see hairdressing and sort of seeing you're a cool guy,
Thank you.
You're urban, you've got a creative eye, you've got that vibe. Was there an aspect of the industry that you were starting to identify? You're thinking, look, this is where I want to take this industry. This is where I want to go.
No, it was more, I'll tell you the story. So it was more of, back in the day, they had this show on MTV called Making the Video. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So J-Lo, it was one for J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez was shooting a music video. And they had a little scene of getting her hair done. And the guy doing her hair had 2 full sleeves of tattoos or whatever it is. And I was like, wow, if that guy has tattoos, because that's what I was into, the culture. I'm fully covered from my neck all the way to my ankles. Is that successful? He's doing Jennifer Lopez's hair. He's on that level and he has tattoos and he looks like a cool guy. Turned out to be Orbe,
Yeah.
Shout out. So I was like, wow, then I can do this. You can listen to music, you can dress however you wanted. It was more of the lifestyle that was attractive to me, that attracted me to doing hair. More than, I had really no idea.
I like the honesty of that. And I think that's good. And as a guy, that can be tricky as well, can't it? Because again, I don't know, sometimes as fellas, there can be, a notion that maybe, it can be quite a feminine sort of job. It doesn't seem,
Oh my God. I grew up in an Italian family.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
And Sicilian, to be more specific. So they're really rough. And
was that a struggle for you? Because I don't feel we talk about this openly about it. It's not that is an issue, but it is sometimes as guys can be a little bit tricky for families to get their head around.
Yeah,
that
my parents were really cool and supportive. My dad's a kind of well-renowned chef. He's pretty up there in the Master Chef world. So he's in the creative, artistic, and my stepmother was working in a salon growing up as well, doing nails and makeup and into that kind of fashion industry. So she was incredibly supportive. The rest of my family, they're supportive. They love me, but just joking around, they would joke around a lot with me, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, I'm a straight guy surrounded by beautiful girls all day, just to kind of rebuttal there. It wasn't my intention. That wasn't my goal, but yeah, they would give me a hard time a lot, my cousins and stuff like that, and say certain things, and I'm like, well, I just brush it off because I know they're just joking. And now they couldn't be more proud of me. They brag about me all the time, and I'm like, you guys are jerks, I don't know if we're allowed to.
So you say that image, and I get that because again, as a hairdresser myself, and I know when I, it was just something that was there, not that any homophobic, because we're very proud of our industry, of all that it attracts. But it can be a little bit tricky, and it can put some guys off, I believe, going in the industry. But you said you like the vibe of it, the edge, and I think where I'm sort of getting to is kind of you as a hairdresser now. Because you are a leading session stylist, have you always been in that, or has that been a journey for you to become the session stylist, master session stylist that you now are?
No, I had, to be honest with you, even though that was kind of my first thing that gave me, a push into the industry, I didn't even know that existed. And I'm just being 100% real. I had no idea that existed. As naive as that sounds, I went to school. And the Advanced Academy for Aveda was connected to my cosmetology school, just coincidentally. So I got to, got introduced to Gerard and another gentleman named Randy Taylor.
Of course,
2 boys from Hairbrained, shout outs. And they were great mentors to me. Not so much technically because I didn't train with them so much, educationally that way, but more of just especially Randy, just guiding me in the right direction to not
So what was that
being
direction then, Joseph?
egomaniac kind of, which is very common. And
it can be.
and that just was
certainly with anything linked to the fashion world and it attracts people being put on a elevated platform, it can happen.
And I was just like looking up to all these other people in the industry, like, I want to learn from you. Like, I'm genuinely here. I'm not trying to take away your job. I'm not trying to do whatever. I just think you're great. And why are you being so difficult?
Absolutely.
It's not.
So did you then hop into the salon? Did you become part of a team?
So I went straight away. I had an instructor who saw, a bright future for me and referred me to one of her colleagues who owned a salon. And I kind of went to go interview for that and jumped in straight away. And it was fantastic. It was in the West Village in New York City. So it was very cool.
Suited your vibe?
Yeah, lots of, celebrities were coming in, but it was a low-key boutique salon. So they didn't have a training program. And that's going back to the education that you receive in cosmetology school. It's really just more to pass this, what we call a state board test, to get your certification and license. And it's basically so that no one can sue you. Like, you're safe so that...
Yeah, and that's always a good idea.
Yeah. So you take this written test first, then you take a practical. And it was kind of outdated. You're doing like roller sets and brush outs, all these things that you don't really do anymore. But I loved it because I was like, I want to learn everything about it. If I learn something, I want to be... If there's one word that you can describe me is thorough. Like, everything I do, I'm very, very thorough.
Were you natural?
It's just been part of my OCD growing up, and just...
And did actually doing that hair and dressing hair, again, for guys that maybe, weren't growing up playing with dolls' heads.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
So dressing hair can be quite a challenge, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I love that challenge. Like, I love...
The engineering mind.
Yeah, just like, okay, if I do this, then this happens, and then this, that's exactly where my engineering mind came off. And doing everything with intention, which is based, the kind of the core of our education that we offer. So
you kind of gone into salon, and we're going to now sort of move on. The salon, you're in there, it's grooving, and particularly in this interview, as I said, I want listeners to understand the world where you are kind of now. So you've taken us on beautifully in this journey. So you're in the salon. Was salon life for you as a hairdresser?
It was great. I mean, I really loved it. I loved my clientele that I built. I left the city after a little bit under a year. I just felt like I wasn't getting from it what I wanted, even though I switched salons.
What did you want to get?
Just, I don't know. I guess I was just really hungry, and I needed... I just wanted more mentorship in that way.
So training was really important.
Yeah,
developing as a person is quite important to you, Joseph.
Mastering any craft, is really important to me. To pay homage to the people who came before us and the people who dedicated their lives to taking it and evolving it from where it started. That's something that's just been in my DNA since I was born. My father raised me with the mentality of your best isn't always good enough, and a lot of people rest on that, I do my best and they'll get me. Yeah, that will be content for me. But it
is
will
that
only
quite hard
for what?
For you to have that part of your psyche, because you almost never settle on where you're at.
Yeah, my brother's the opposite, so that's kind of a struggle for me with him. I mean, he's fantastic and he's so brilliant, but he's so content with where he's at, and he's happy. And at some point, I'm jealous of him. I'm like,
are you happy then?
I am now. I am very much happy now. 2 years ago was a different story.
Different story.
Because I was still trying to understand why, certain things, whatever. But yeah, my father raised me with whatever it takes mentality. If you truly want to be successful and guarantee that success within legal reason, we like to say, then you do whatever it takes. And that has been basically my whole attitude.
And what's success to you?
No, just whatever. I mean, it applies to anything in life, not just hair.
Okay, so any aspect of your life whilst it's hair then, what's success to you in the industry?
Well, I thought it meant something, for a long time. For me, shooting for Vogue Italia or, certain things like that. But then I was realizing when I would accomplish these things, it wasn't equaling happiness. which is a very strange.
Yeah, I'm prying. You can see, and I'm sorry if I'm asking too much.
Not
Why
at all.
was that not making you really the fulfilled, happy that you wanted?
I guess because it was something that I thought everyone else, expected of me to some degree. I don't even know if they directly expected it, but they're like, yeah, that guy, does well and he's going to go far. I've just been told that most of my, since day one. So when I accomplished it, it just wasn't something that, it was fleeting. And
when you've got it, this is always the thing, isn't it? It's whether you win an award or whatever that goal may be. And sometimes you achieve those things and then you kind of think, what's next? Is there and I get that myself. Sometimes we're waiting for something magic to actually happen, and I don't know what that quite. Some people may say it may be money, it may be fame, it may be, I don't know, but we then push ourselves on. But that's obviously good for you, Joseph, because that enables you to keep getting
I think
developing.
What I have put my finger on as why it didn't is because it was kind of more of a solo thing. It was just me. I mean, when you're doing a shoot or, you're in a team, but it's not the same as if you're backstage at Fashion Week.
And when we say shoot, again, just so our listeners, viewers understand, you're talking about an editorial shoot, which is working on magazines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, magazines, campaigns, lookbooks, stuff
that is the sexy part of hairdressing to a lot of people.
Yes. I also had a great friend, Benjamin Mohapi, who's a British hairdresser. Moved to LA and opened up a beautiful salon, doing quite well. He also helped mentor me a lot, and he was quite a big session artist and here and over there. And, I was looking at him and how much he's accomplished, and then he went back into the salon, and he's like, I'm so much happier now. They come to me, I cut their hair, I make the money.
So is it working again? So sorry, I'm sort of going a little bit. This is good. This means I'm there in the zone.
Yeah.
Okay. But obviously you've been in the salon, you've got the session world. So as a hairdresser, how you work? Are you a full-time session stylist, or do you then have guest spots in places like here at the Social? How do you work?
Well, the last, I would say 6 or 7 years, I've really focused on education and helping others grow, because I've done what I've done already in a short amount of time. And like I said, it was fantastic. It was something that I was young and hungry for. I think the editorial session world is really romanticized a little bit, and they don't really see.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I've had the pleasure of Anna Cafoni come onto the show, Zoe, and talked about session, and this always comes up. So when you say it's romanticized about a little bit, why is it romanticized, and what do you think people are visualizing?
So I think what attracts salon stylists, or just stylists in general, is the taste level. I think that's coming from the session and editorial world, is the high taste level, the creativity to some degree. It's just beautiful imageries. It's very inspiring. It's something you can connect with.
What is the taste level?
It just depends.
Because I kind of know that. And again, I always just think of our listeners. Some would be thinking, well, what does Joseph mean by taste level?
I think what people define as something that's well done.
Okay. And editorial hair, there is a certain look, isn't there?
There's so much more than just a look. When we do our editorial trainings or education, we're teaching about balance and things that not everyone gets naturally. They don't have that naturally. So we have to point it out and break it down, step by step in a system. Okay, look at the balance, look at the lighting, look at their face. There's so much more.
And this is what you are doing with your education. Is taking all that experience that you've got from editorial shoots, session work, and it's bringing that into education. Yeah,
and also working with collaborating with other amazing artists, from makeup, from photographers, from wardrobe stylists. Not just saying, I'm the hairdresser and it's all about the hair. Not at all. It's absolutely a team effort.
So if people are coming to you, and because obviously we kind of worked that you've went hair salon, you session world, you've done your editorial shoots, you've travelled around the world, worked on fashion weeks.
Yep.
All that. And you're now bringing that into an education as a key part of.
Yeah, I feel like, and I'm just speaking from my experience and my opinion, so, it's not a fact or whatever, But I feel like there's certain areas in the industry. You have the like film and theater and TV.
I agree.
You have, you know, the fashion session editorial world, and then you have the salon world, and then you have kind of platform work as well with more brand stuff and trade shows. And I feel like what dictates everything is the fashion trend, right? And that's what clients are coming in to bring, you know, pictures of as celebrities or from fashion magazines. They're very rarely bringing in pictures from a collection from, you know, a brand or someone.
Yeah.
Very
the
rarely.
Cliche hair.
Yeah, just very rarely do I see that happen. Again, in my experience. So, and what I've also experienced in my personal experience is a lot of the session editorial stylists want nothing to really do with the salon industry.
You're going to have to tell me a bit more on why you believe that to be the case.
I just feel like from what I've seen, not the ego so much, I just don't want to say that, but it's just kind of below them to some degree, as what I feel. Yeah. I don't know if that's true.
Do you know, and that's really interesting that you said that, Joseph, because I have heard that said in a previous interview. There is definitely a divide between session stylists don't almost see themselves as hairdressers. Yeah,
more artists or whatever. But I don't see that. I don't feel that way about me at all because I started in the salon. And so
But surely each and every one of those has had to have that background of salon life before getting into the world of session?
I mean, I would think so, but I think it's more important. So people have just hit me up and, said, oh, I just want to jump into that. And I'm like, you could, but I would recommend highly starting.
Can people do that? Can people? I mean, so you say that people, so if there is a hairdresser who's been working Hair by Betty, and she's just thinking, you know what? I'm just so drawn to the world of session. And realistically, can that happen for them? Realistically.
Depends on many things. I have this conversation almost daily.
So when you say depends, okay, what does it depend on?
What they're willing to do.
Brilliant. So what you're going to tell me then? what have they got to do to get to that?
Okay. So again, like I said,
this is good.
I have this conversation almost daily or weekly with young one, or even not young, just people who've been in the industry forever and they've been behind the chair for 10, 15 years. And they just want to do something different. They're just bored. So they hit me up and they're like, hey, Joseph, how do I get into that? And I go, well, first of all, you have to understand something, which I feel a lot of salon stylists don't understand, is session editorial work as a craft is a completely different skill set than working behind the chair. If you're a brilliant behind the chair salon stylist or color, whatever, it does not equate to being a session. It's completely different things. How we blow dry, how we use product, how we do everything, how we see everything as well. But I feel the opposite is true. If you're a great session artist and you learn some salon skills, that will help you incredibly. And I always kind of go back to doing Fashion Week, right? Usually on average, we have about 30 to 40 models, right, at a time. And we have about 2 or 3 hours to do them.
Not stressful.
Sharing that, again, keep in mind, sharing that with makeup, wardrobe, rehearsal, and everything else. And if they come late or from another show, we don't have shampoo bowls. We can't start from fresh,
Yeah, because you are working in tight conditions. You're not in
incredibly tight positions. We've worked in closets before, and I'm like,
and designers, fashion houses, working for them, I guess, not always easy.
No, not at all. And sometimes we do a whole completely hair test, and they're like, okay, we love this, thank you. And then the day of the show, they're like, oh, we completely want to do something different. And nothing against us. They just had a different vision. So I have to change the look and train my team in 5 seconds to do something completely different than we
So you've got to be adaptable.
Super adaptable. But like I was saying, if those 40 or 50 models, whatever, 30, 50, have to be perfectly flawless on the runway, and they all have different hair textures. So on average, one of our biggest things that we teach in our education worldwide is our blow drying technique. And I've connected that with a ton of research that I've done overseas in Asia with microscopes and just tons of things to create this whole education platform around the cuticle and sealing it the right way. And the relationship between heat styling tools and actual hair, and things I think you should learn day one in school and no one ever knows. So the average blow dry, when I ask, is somewhere, if you're faster, around 25 minutes, but all the way to 45 minutes. And with our blow dry technique and system, you're done completely start to finish, perfect sealed cuticle polish within 8 to 10 minutes when you master the technique. Because that's the world we're coming from. So on average, if you're usually using, taking 30 minutes to do a nice blowout, we have to do that in 10 minutes. We don't have 30 minutes per girl backstage. So that's the difference,
And this is what you are really sharing with others within your education.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm bridging that gap a little bit between editorial and not having anything to do with attitude or ego or any of that stuff, and just saying, you guys want to learn this? It can definitely help you, but here's why.
And when they come, and you will be very honest to a lot of those that come on your education, and you will say, look, very few of you are ever going to have that real get and have that real, what it takes to become a leading session editorial hairstylist.
Yeah, it's a lot. You have to move to a market that has that, first of all. So that's the other part.
What's that then? What do you mean by that?
So moving to New York or London or Milan or Paris.
You couldn't be in the outback, or you're going to have to
it's
be
just
in
not
a hut.
Realistic, and that's the first thing I said. I'm saying, are you willing to relocate? Are you willing to dedicate 2 or 3 of your years of your life sacrificing everything just to make this work? What people see on social media or wherever they've seen whatever they see about editorial stylists, it's not all the glitz and glam. We are on planes every single week, twice a week.
But people will think, that's amazing. I'm on a plane. I'm going to a new country.
In the beginning, you're like, yeah, I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. But no one likes traveling. Like, no one likes the travel part. No one likes waiting in line at security and getting probed and prodded by, and packing bags and doing this and sweating and running around like a madman taking taxis. You like arriving to the destination, and you like...
Because how long would you stay in those destinations for then, Joseph?
Yeah, sometimes you're just there for the day, and then you're like, I don't even get to enjoy this, or... To
the point where you've got to do your job and then...
Exactly, and then back out and the agency's calling you, you have another job, you got to be here. Yeah.
What's an agency doing here then? What's their part of
Well,
this?
Nowadays, it depends. I kind of feel torn about this conversation, but back in the day, there wasn't social media. No one knew how to get a hold of you. So they created agencies, for makeup artists,
that
photographers.
Connection, you'd have your own page on their books.
You'd have your portfolio that they would.
So do you think we need them then? Do we need agents now?
I feel at the high end, yes, you do need representation because A, it's too much work to do by yourself. B, they'll do it better than you will.
And what would they do for you?
Just get those connections, those great gigs, and also negotiate proper rates for you that make sure you're taken care of.
So to become it, you've described it brilliantly. You've got to work hard. You've got to be adaptable.
You got to work for free as well for like the first
Brilliant.
2 or 3 years.
That I like, right?
It's almost. So I'm saying.
So I'm not going to become rich by becoming a session stylist, no?
All. I mean, you can be on the long term, not rich. I don't know. But you can be successful.
I can make some serious money.
Yeah, you can make some serious money, but it's very unlikely.
Does that affect you guys, the seasoned pros? Because you're a seasoned pro session stylist, and you're going to have newbies coming up through the ranks. They're going to say, look, I'll do this job free. Don't worry. Is that an issue?
No, I think, more and more as the years have passed, budget for companies or budgets for projects have become less and less or just cut in half. And from what I hear in the 90s and early 2000s, it was amazing. And,
there was silly money floating around.
Yeah, it was like first class, you're getting flown around.
Damn,
room service.
And I'm like, too late.
Oh, God, it's only 10 years younger. From what I hear from, from mentors and other, seasoned seniors. But, it's not. And also working... in the salon, you have cash every day from tips. You're getting paid every week or every other week. This, you're waiting 30, 45, 60 days to get paid for a job.
And that's got to come through the agent, I guess. That they have to do a lot of that.
Yeah, if you have an agency, and that's as well, is they're the ones who make sure you get paid on time or in a timely manner. If you're on your own, then, But again, nowadays with technology, it's much easier to just PayPal someone or just send electronic payments. So,
It all works in a different way. So again, for our listeners, and there are going to be lots that are going to be listening to you, Joseph, and they're going to be thinking, yeah, I would love to get into this, but it's not always hard work. And this is, I just want to concentrate a little bit now on your education company. And am I right in pronouncing, and correct me if I've got this wrong, so it's Shokunin Click.
Yeah, Shokunin.
Is this your education company? What is this?
Yeah, it's it started out as this organic kind of thing with me and my team members, and then it grew into something where we made it a little bit more official, and now it's something that...
So what is it? Describe it to us.
Yeah, so Shokunin Click is just the name of our mindset, really. Shokunin is the Japanese word for master of their craft.
Nice.
But the meaning is a little different than just the Anglo-Saxon or English version of what we would say a master of their craft is. They have more intention behind mastering their craft, which to me that's my number one word, is intention.
And that's you all the way from your childhood, master your craft.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, this is a brilliant word, and I love it, but I love more the meaning, because a shokunin is someone who masters their craft for the better of their community, to help and provide a better quality to their community. It's not a selfish journey. And I really love that, and that hit me really hard. So I just, just attached to that word really right away. And it came from, me watching the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's brilliant. You have to watch it. I have everyone, I recommend
Give us a heads up. What was...
Well, it's about this guy, Jiro. He's in I don't know if he's still alive. I think he is, but he's got to be in his late 80s now, early 90s. And he's a Michelin star sushi restaurant in the Ginza station. In a subway station, he has a sushi restaurant. It's a 3-month waiting period. And he truly lives his life to just get better every day. And his family kind of comes second, and it's a really extreme version of what he does.
We'll put a link on this, actually.
Yeah, Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's a brilliant, and it's so sad because I'm deathly allergic to seafood and shellfish. So I couldn't even go and meet him. I mean, I guess I could meet him, but I couldn't go.
He's still kind of there?
Yeah, he has 2 sons, one in the 2 locations, and one son took over. But for example, the first thing that you learn as one of his apprentices is how to squeeze a hot towel. And you have to build the resistance in your hands to take that level of heat, if that makes sense, right? And then you go to the next thing where you have to make this special egg dish. And you can't do anything else except for that for years or whatever, And I think his son is now, I want to say in his 40s or 50s, and he was an apprentice for 30 years. So I asked myself, I'm like, who else would apprentice for 30 years doing something, right?
That
just
crazy.
Was so inspirational and motivating to me. I'm like, that's, and
but
that's
how somebody mastering their craft.
Yeah, that's really dedicated. And so that's how we started our training. Like for me, we start, my personal assistants and apprentices, they have to do something 2,000 times before I teach them anything else. So it's up to them how fast they...
2,000
yeah.
times.
My goal is for them to be better than me one day, right? And I know what it took for me to get here, so I know what it would take for them to surpass me. And if they're willing to do that work, then here it is. I'll guide you along the journey.
Do you think people have that?
Not anymore. It's very... I mean, I'm not saying no, but I haven't seen it. It's been very hard. Normally, I have a full-time apprentice for all the time, but for the last year and a half.
Are you struggling with that as well then? To get it? Really?
I don't have one. I haven't had one for a year and a half. Because
so if anybody's listening, stay silent.
DM me right now.
So what would an apprentice get for being your apprentice, working alongside a master?
It's for me, I always like to do a win-win situation. So it's not about what they would get or what I would get. It's just you help me with the things I need along in my life at the time that you would apprentice me, and in return, I will teach you and guide you to wherever you want to go and help you with your goals.
And I just find that staggering that you cannot find an apprentice. Is it because your standards are so high that it's hard to get somebody who's going to really be...
It's not easy. So I think from what I find, recently in these younger generations, and again, I don't mean to offend anyone, but just in my experience, I haven't seen or found anyone who's willing to do that. They all because everything comes so instantly now with technology, information, everything else, they just want everything to happen overnight. You know what I mean? And no one just wants to go back to the old school and like learn the foundations of like, I need to blow dry this 2,000 times so that I can just be at least good at it. You know what I mean?
I love this, and I done a talk at Fantastic Hairdresser, and I referenced Bruce Mayfield. He talked about becoming an expert. You know, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert, and you're kind of repeating.
Yeah, I'm equating that to about 2,000 times. And again, it's up to them. I had one kid that was amazing, and he's incredible. He's super young, you know, and he wanted to explore some other things in his life. But he would sit up. We would shoot all day or teach all day or whatever, and then he'd be up in his room with the mannequin stand and the head, just until 2, 3 in the morning, and then wake up again 6:30, 7 o'clock.
There we are.
And I'm like, ugh, you know. So I just wanted to teach him more and teach him the little details that, you know, sometimes you don't have the time to share.
What are you developing yourself on now? What's your next development in your own personal journey?
So I've just joined a company, a brand out of Italy called Professional by Fama, as their international styling and education director. And my counterpart is Eduardo Paludo, who I'm extremely stoked.
Former guest of the show.
Extremely stoked to be working with. He's so inspirational, so motivating. He's helped me a lot. Also, you know, to me, I would definitely call him a mentor. He's got so much experience, and he definitely pushes me to do even more. And
so what's this going to be doing? What's this role going to involve for you?
Well, I'm creating now an international education team, which is what I really love to do and where my heart's at. And here is where people who do want to learn that kind of stuff or learn on that type of level, you know what I mean? Some people just want to learn quick. Oh, just tell me what it is real quick, and then I'll figure it out on my own. And I'm like, it's hard to take those people seriously, you know, because they're just trying to skim through things. And I have this kind of saying that I've learned over the years is, a master will recognize other masters, you know, and just because you got to a certain point doesn't mean that you've earned that or you've actually genuinely mastered it, you know, because a master takes the long road, not the shortcuts. And that way, when you take the long road, you learn all the reasons why not, you know, versus why or how more. So we focus more in our education on why we do it and why we're doing this and that versus just how to do something, which I feel a lot of educators, quote unquote, you know, just say, just do it.
That's another conversation for another day, isn't it?
You know, just do it because I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, what is that? No, why? You know, and I feel like so many of us in the industry have become sheep in some of those regards where they just do because that's what everyone else has been doing for forever. Do
you know, we had a previous interview with Kai and in this spot, and, you know, we talked exactly about, you know, so many people follow.
Yeah.
Find your own uniqueness.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to go on a hell of a journey to get to that, whatever that may be. And I think what you just said, but isn't that our mission in our lives? To keep learning, to keep sharing, to keep developing.
Yeah, I believe so. But I feel a lot of people, the first thing we say in every class we teach is, if you want to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. That is the only time you can grow.
Tell you are sharing some wonderful stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we have tons of stuff like that. It's not just hair technique that we teach. We teach about, you know,
because it's just, that's just as important, isn't it?
Oh, it's so important. Yeah.
You know, that whole kind of self-development and, yes, master your craft. But I think what keeps coming over from you, and that's what I really wanted to get from you today, Joseph, which has been amazing, is just the realities of becoming a master. And it doesn't, look, if you're not interested in being a session stylist, it doesn't matter. Whatever that master is, how inspirational is that? Yeah,
I just feel like if you're not willing to put in everything, then why do it at all?
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of my whole model.
Japanese culture, important to you?
You know, not to get too weird, but I saw a healer, a spiritual healer last month.
I love that.
And I was with him for 10.5 hours. He told me all about my past lives, and I used to be a SEAL, and that's why I can't even
Has that been good for you, that spiritual?
Yeah, it was incredible, incredibly enlightening, incredibly affirmating that I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right path, my karma is good. And why I am this, you know, in this lifetime.
Because I think that is a really important part, and I get again with what you're just sharing with me, because I resonate with that. Sometimes I think we go in our lives where we I think we wonder, what are we here for? What is our reason? What is our purpose? And I think so many people are struggling with that. And I think it is about really understanding who you are and what you feel your direction is.
Yeah, I feel like just the way I was raised, again, going back to that, is you couldn't fake anything in my culture. Like in New York growing up, the kids are really rough and they're brutal. So if you tried to fake anything or front, we call it, they would call you out in 0.5 seconds and be like, nah, dude, like that's, no, bro. So you had to earn everything. And I think that that's not there anymore, especially with the social media culture.
Do you think that has disappeared?
Yeah, I mean, I get the attractive part of just getting to there, right away, much sooner. So you get ahead of everyone, but you haven't earned it. And for me, that's kind of just going back to the whole thing of, at the end of my life, I want to be like, I've earned it. And I know that for me, I know that I've earned every step and everything that I've accomplished, I've earned. I didn't step on anyone's toes. I didn't, try to take shortcuts.
Amen.
Because I want the respect of my peers and my mentors and my masters. I want them to be like, this, he actually did something with what I gave him versus, he blew it, or, he didn't take it seriously, or he didn't respect it. And for me, respect, honor, discipline, dedication, all those words.
Thank you so much on sharing this.
You can be passionate, but you have to have all those other things. You know what I mean? And it's really the test of a person when it gets hard. It's easy to blow up on social media if you put in the work, but it's not easy to sit there every night or every day and just practice braiding. You know what I mean? So
your biggest takeaway tip for any of our listeners, and I'll say viewers again because we are on the Hair Show YouTube channel. It's beautiful. What is that? The one takeaway tip in everything that you've shared with us today, and as brilliant as that is, just so much gold in so much of that. What's the biggest takeaway tip they can take from you today? Set
your intentions. What are your true intentions? And that's the first thing. I have a lot of, every month I usually do about 1 or 2 one-on-one education sessions where it's just me and one other person. It is an investment, but you're getting 100% of my time, and I'm going to help you achieve whatever you want to achieve or start you on that path. So the first thing before we even start talking about hair or technique or any of that is why. Why do you want to do this? Because when those times get hard, or you're like, oh no, it's not working out, or I'm failing, you need that connection to why you're doing it to keep you driving through those times. You know what I mean?
I think so much, and honestly, we are so. Well, I'm certainly humbled sitting here in conversation with you in this space, and for you to share this. And I've chatted to many great people in our industry, but you have just shared some really enlightening stuff. And certainly, I think from that whole developing, and I think young people sometimes do get a bad rap. And, we've had podcasts with Sean Dawson, defended young people, and there are many young people that want to go out there. But I think the one part of life that maybe is, I think for a lot of people, not just young people, but social media and all these things is making everything look easy, and it's false. And the reality is master. Know your reason, know your purpose. And actually our well-being might become better as well. Our mental health may become better.
Oh my God. I was just talking with her about that. About how
her being Abby, by the way, Abby who looked after us. Big shout out to Abby,
big shout out to
head
Abby.
Girl here at.
I was just talking to her about it. I'm like, because at the end of the day, what happens if Instagram is gone tomorrow?
I'd like to see that for a little while. That'd be quite refreshing, wouldn't it?
But that's what I'm saying. If you have spent your time mastering, you're going to be okay. You're going to be totally
you
fine.
Will get through it okay, yeah, because it's quite easy to hide behind a beautiful picture and lots of followers and lots of likes, but... And
I'm not trying to hate or be negative about anyone doing whatever they're doing. That's kind of another thing I've come to, because in the beginning, I'm like, you could be very negative and you'd be like, point the finger, but I'm like, I just need to focus on me. I need to stop. That's just a distraction. So that's another piece of advice. I'd be like, stop looking at, for inspiration and stuff.
Focus on you.
But just really focus on you, because that investment will always pay off. You're just wasting time focusing on somebody else or something else when you can be investing that same time into yourself to grow yourself. And that's never you're never not going to grow if you do that. And I think a lot of us spend so much time. I mean, even me, I'm guilty of it as well. I'll just sit there and scroll.
We
sometimes.
all are.
Yeah, I'm not perfect by any means.
I haven't got arthritis on to see my phones from phone use.
But I'll call myself out. I'll be like, oh my God, stop it. Do something else.
Yeah,
go
right.
learn more of a language or go look at some, do something else with your time. Because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or whatever. So
just be in that moment.
Yeah.
And
So
keep
just earn it. And like I said, set your intentions. And if you really have those goals set, ask yourself even more. Again, I think there's a book out called like the 5 levels of why. You can go even deeper.
I'm going on holiday shortly. I'm going to check that book out. Is that a good one?
Yeah, for sure.
Say that one again, by the way.
I think I don't know the exact title, but I think it's like the 5 levels of why.
Okay. Well, listeners, again, I'll search that out.
Yeah,
put it in the link
I'll send it
put
to you.
that out there because it'll be
but it's pretty cool because then you'll realize, oh, why? And then if you have that conversation with yourself, you'll be like, oh, I don't even want that at all. I'm doing this for the completely wrong reason. So you'll be working so hard down a path, and that's what I feel like a lot of, even if, I see a lot of young generation, like stylists, they're working so hard. They are doing it, but they're not doing it with an intention. So I'm like, you're just driving in the hamster wheel, going, but you don't know where you're going or why. So all you do have to do, it takes, an hour of your time, just sit there with yourself, ask yourself, what are my goals, but why? And then that will lead you to happiness. And I kind of think that's why, like I was saying before, I wasn't feeling the happiness, and working more in a team environment, and helping others grow really brings me joy.
Sending happiness to me. There's a good vibe around you. There's a good energy that's coming around you. I can
kind of attribute most of that to my beautiful, amazing wife, who's just, sorry, I'm getting a little.
No, that's cool. She's
just
been
amazing.
a big part of that.
Yeah, she's our color director. It's the only reason why I could be married.
That's wicked.
She does the same thing, and
she's beautiful.
She's changed me in so many ways.
Man, that's wicked.
Sorry.
No, honestly, that shows a lot of that. I get goosebumps just seeing you in there because I think honestly, that's wicked, and it shows your humbleness, and it shows your emotion, and it shows where that connection. So. Honestly, thank you for sharing, and it's just you're an absolute credit, and what a joy to have you share in somebody I've just met briefly in 2 minutes, walked in. And
I've heard your voice, and I'm like, what a nice voice! I can't wait to meet the face.
Yeah, sorry, it disappoints.
No. It's fantastic, man.
It has been. So you're in town, but again, for our listeners that want to learn more, maybe it's stateside. Do you do education in the UK? Or
we do education worldwide.
So where can we go? Where can we find out more?
Just you can hit us up on our Instagram. Shokunin at Shokunin Click, CLIK, and Click is just group of like-minded individuals keeping it New York underground, urban streets, and putting those two together. So that the IG, or just hit me up, Fashion Meets Passion on Instagram.
Fashion Meets Passion. I love it.
It's been
amazing.
Since day one. That
or
shokuninclick.com as well. You can reach out on the email.
Brilliant. Again, we'll put all the links. So, we'll all be there. And this man, listeners, viewers, honestly, his work is just incredible. We'll share some of your, again, maybe on the show and for the podcast, we'll maybe just share a few of your images as well, which would be nice just for people to get a feel of your vibe. So we're going to lead this with a beautiful end. I always do for my podcast, which is I want to know you briefly away from hair. Just find out a little bit more about you, Joseph, from away from the hair industry. All right, a bit of fun. No, everybody struggles with it. These are the toughest questions that you could ever imagine. I am going to put in there about a book that you can recommend. I like you recommended a book, so that's for a future show. I think I might start asking guests about that one. So question 1, away from work, how do you best like to spend your time?
I love jiu-jitsu. I've been training that for 2 years now, and I love being a student, and I love knowing nothing, and I love knowing that it's going to take me a very long time to become a master. So it's really fun for me to start all over again at something. And I feel like I'm growing, I'm learning, self-defense, all that stuff. So jiu-jitsu, video games,
and it's
graffiti.
all good for that.
Yeah.
All good for that.
Yeah. So those kind of things.
Okay, what's the one song that makes you jump up and hit the dance floor? I'm expecting something pretty cool from you being a tough New Yorker lad.
What do you mean, like dancing or
let's just say we're going to have a dance floor going on here, and I'm going to put on a record, and it's just going to make you want to get up and bust a move.
I mean, just off the top of my head,
yes.
Any Jamiroquai track.
Oh, love Jamiroquai.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
I wouldn't have had you down for Jamiroquai, but I've seen
I
that guy.
listen to all different genres of music just because it was in hardcore bands.
That's good. Jamiroquai.
And then September by Earth, Wind and Fire is also a track that I just can't sit down to.
We'll be sharing that in our Instagram story. So we have now created a platform. We have created a list of all our guests' favourite tracks. So if you want to check that one out, I'm going to put it on there.
It's so random, but that's okay.
But that's good. We like random. Okay, question 3. What was you doing this Sunday afternoon just gone?
I was hanging out with my friend Jamie and his girl Sophie, who I have been friends with for 2.5 years. Just walking around London, doing shopping.
It's a nice way to spend your time, isn't it? Wandering London.
Yeah, it was great. Just eating Nando's, which we don't have in New York, so I eat it as much as I can when I'm here.
It sounds like me and my brother. This is what we do. We just wander London, and we always go to Nando's right on the South Bank. That's so if you want to find me and my brother hanging out, I do enjoy Nando's as well. But you don't get my physique without not liking a Nando's. So that's okay. Question 4: what was the last big treat you gave to yourself? And you can't say Nando's.
The last big treat. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is last year for the Cherry Blossom Festival, I took my wife and we went to Japan, to Tokyo, which I like to visit every year, I mean. And I finally started my back piece from a really amazing tattoo artist who is so inspirational for me. His name's Tomo. And for me, he's like one of the top 5-6 guys in the world. So I've been saying this for years that I'm going to go to Japan and get my back done, and I was like, what am I waiting for? I caught myself saying like, why haven't I done it yet? And I didn't know what was holding me back, so I said, stop being stupid, book the flight, and then you're forced to go, And I hit him up, and he magically had an appointment, a day open. He's like, I just had a cancellation, and I'm like, wow.
So is it on your back? Is it?
Yeah, I started it. I have 70 more hours to go, so. Which is, you'll
have to share a picture because we're going to have to see it. I wouldn't want to embarrass you now.
No, it's fine. But, yeah.
So again, listeners, if you want to see that, we'll share an image. I will remind you.
So that was like the last real treat. I more treat my wife.
I want to get to Japan as well. It looks a beautiful country. I have to say, it's a place that I really want to go to, and I've not been to. So anyway, it's not about me. It's all about you. So lastly, tell us one more thing that we really need to know about you.
Oh man. I love British humor and comedy.
Thank God for that.
I watch a ton of British films and shows and programs that most Americans would never even know of. But I definitely have this little
good
thing for that. And yeah.
That's amazing. Well, we love you. We love your New Yorker vibe. We love that state. And it's been an absolute delight to have you come on. So when Kai said that you were in town, it was like a non-brainer. Let's get you in.
It was an honor. Much. When Kai asked, and shout outs to Kai, he's rad and super stoked to finally meet. It's just incredible to see.
Lots of this again. Thank you so much for coming on to today's How to
Thank you so
podcast.
Much. It's an honor.